Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting oil painting video. I am your humble host John, and we're going to try something a little different. We've been going steadily from thin to thick for paint, and last week we did 2 weeks ago we did a very thick oil painting with a brush. Today we're going to take it a step further, and we are going to do a palette knife only oil painting. That's right. We're only going to use a palette knife to take care of this 16 by 20 canvas. So why would we use a painting knife or a palette knife only? Lots of reasons. One, it's fun as all hell. It really is. Two, you don't have to worry about detail because with a painting knife, you're not going to get a lot of detail. Three, you don't even have to worry about paint thinners and mediums and any of that other stuff because it's just paint and knife. And paper towels, a lot of paper towels. And the other part of it is you get a lot of really expressive strokes. Now, it can be intimidating and it is a little awkward in the beginning. The more you do it, the less awkward it becomes. So we're gonna go through it. And we're just gonna start and I'm gonna show you what we're doing. And it's gonna look haphazard in some ways, but you know that's how I paint anyway. I don't like to take myself too seriously. I mean, don't get me wrong, I try my best. My YouTube videos, I do as quickly as I can for time restraints. You know, they say that, you know, the shorter the video, the better within reason. So I take a lot quicker time doing these than I do my studio pieces. I take my time with when it's just me and my music. The techniques are very similar, okay? So I'm not doing anything drastically different, but I'm just doing it quicker. And I'll try to slow this one down because this is the first time I'm introducing a knife for the entire painting. Most of the time, if you recall, I use a knife at different parts of my painting. And so you're used to seeing me see it. I use a knife, but not for the entire piece. So hopefully you enjoy this. I know I really do like doing paintings just like this. Now, there's two things here. I'm on a stretched canvas like normal, 16 by 20. It's better to paint a palette knife on, let's say, a piece of wood, like my ampersand gesso board, for the rigid support, and you don't have to worry about the corners like this. Where this, what I'll do is, after I'm done with the painting, I'll just use a brush and paint just the edges and kind of make sure it wraps around. Where a flat panel, you don't have to worry about that. However, a flat panel is so rigid and non-absorbent, you're not gonna, it's harder to get, it's gonna sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm not. It's gonna be harder to get thinner, smoother layers with the knife. Because if you go too much into that rigid wood surface, it's just gonna scrape it away. Whereas a canvas like this, see how smooth it is, but yet it didn't slip it away, okay? It didn't go all the way down to the canvas itself. So that's kind of where you gotta go. What is it you prefer? Now, the more experience you get, you might wanna just use the wood and figure, okay, you'll take care of it. But it's up to you. I recommend starting with student grade canvas, even the kind you get at Hobby Lobby, just something to paint on that's real inexpensive, and then just let it go. And I really, really, really recommend not giving a shit on what it looks like. You do your best, obviously, but you don't care what it looks like, okay? That's the worst thing you can do in the beginning when you're learning, because you're gonna be so uptight and everything else. Don't be uptight, have fun with it. Look at what I'm doing. I'm spreading paint, look at this. So how am I spreading paint? Okay, so I've got paint I'm taking on my knife. It's hard to see exactly. I'm not putting the knife flat. I'm on a slight angle and I'm like a trawl, okay? And I'm doing it this way. When I go up and down, the whole blade is not completely flat. It's lifted slightly or lifted slightly. And that's what you want to do. Now, you're going to see too, that with the knife, you're not going to get it as smooth as you can with a brush, but you can get some degree of smooth. You see this? That is a some degree of smooth. There we go. Now, what we're going to do, and like I said, when I tell you you need a ton of paper towels, forgive me, you need a shit ton of paper towels. Yes, you need a lot. Because the thing of it is, you don't want your knife caked up. It isn't a bad thing because it's a knife. You got paint on it. But you don't want it so yucked up with paint that when you go into a new element, you have it on there and it keeps you from doing what you want to do. Especially when you want to do a little bit of precision. And I'll tell you, and I'll show you the precision you can do with the knife. Now, there are some knife artists that they're ridiculous. They're so good, and they can do a lot better than me. I don't want to get that crazy precision, but some of them are really good. Okay, and we're using our same type of colors. Okay, I got this next one I'm doing here is burnt umber and Payne's gray. I had ultramarine and titanium white. So we're using the same colors. And yes, I'm doing a mountain here. Going right over that part of the sky. And I'm going to darken it. What's nice about a knife too is the spontaneity you get out of it. I mean, look at the way I'm molding this mountain, okay? I'm just making peaks and little things wherever the hell I want. It's gonna make some stuff that I'm not even doing. It's gonna do a lot of stuff for you. Now, is knife way to go for everybody? Oh no. There's some people that are realist painters that won't go near a knife. That's fine. I'm not wired to do realist painting anyway. I'm more of an impressionistic type of painter, as you've seen in my videos. If any of you have went and saw my website, you'll see the same thing. Now, I'm sure you recall how I do my pine trees with the knife. We're going to do the same thing. But we're going to do some pine trees that are going to be the same as I've done that you've seen, and then a couple of other ways. You'll see. We're going to do a lot of stuff with this knife today. I'm not sure how long this video is going to take. I'm going to do my best to keep it under an hour, but there's a lot of stuff I want to go over. So I want to make sure you get everything so you know what the heck's going on. Yeah, I'm just going to go down. I was going to go and make the peak bigger, but no, I'm just going to go down now. And again, why am I using Payne's gray and burnt umber? I just want dark. I just want dark colors. Because when we put the highlights on, the dark's going to look really pretty. And then it's going to be awesome. There we go. There we go. Okay. There we go. So now that we got the base of our mountain, okay, our basis for our mountain, now we'll put in some clouds. Now the clouds, you remember the way we normally do clouds is we just apply thick paint, relatively thick, and then take a brush and we gently, well, that's not how we do it here. That's not how we do things in this territory, partner. We're going to do the thick stuff. Now we're going to dab it. Okay, and I'm getting my shape first, and then I'm going to put in, and I am using titanium white. I know this looks like a mess, but trust me, it will get a little bit nicer as we move on. Okay, now as another time, I got it all caked up. little bit more white. And the white is mixed with the ultramarine blue from when I made the sky to begin with. Okay. Now I'm going to take some of my Payne's Gray. Got little burnt umbers in there too, that ain't gonna hurt it. Wipe it off. Okay, now we're gonna just shape it. We're gonna make our shape. And basically I'm just touching it flat now. Remember how we were on an angle before? Now I'm going flat. And I'm just going different shapes. And I'm using the top part of the blade, not the whole blade. You see paint here, that's just getting it off. And I'm basically just using the top half of the blade. Now to get on this side. There we go. Let's see how that looks. Oh, that was pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to take more white. And now I'm going to do what we were doing with just the top part. I just want a little bit of highlight. John. And basically what we're doing is we're touching the canvas and we're letting the canvas and the wet paint underneath it take what it wants. And then we are removing the knife and let it finish. I just dropped some paint here on my board. And that's it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some yellow ochre. I'm just going to give a little land here. You can see how you can put a lot of paint on at one time. You know, obviously, if you're going to do a smaller painting, you're going to use smaller knives. They got them all different sizes, shapes, all kinds of stuff. This is, you know, a bigger knife because this is a 16 by 20. It's pretty good size. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some sap green in here. Once all this yellow ochre is down. Yellow ochre is just a base. And then once I put the sap green down, then it'll look like a real nice little area for the foothills. Okay, now, first thing I want to do, now that we've got this somewhat established, get rid of all that excess paint on the knife. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to establish the ground from the mountains. So I'm just going to, you've seen me do grass like this, where I touch the blade flat and I make the grass. Well, this is making my distinction between mountain and land. There we go. There we go. Let's see how that turned out. That's not too bad. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take a smaller knife. Gotta find one. I'll use this one. This is, Bob Ross uses this type all the time. Now I'll start putting in a little bit of highlight. I'm just going to touch. And you're doing it pretty similar to the way we did it before on other paintings. And don't worry, I know it's the same color as here, but I told you sap green's going in there. So once the sap green goes in there, then this will look really good. I wanted to get a little bit of this highlight in first before I went with the sap green. Down, I can just move it around a little bit. There we go. Okay, I've got all that on there now, and I think I'm going to take my other knife back after I clean this knife. Paper towel out. Okay. There we go. Now we got the paint on there from the other knife. Now we're just gonna spread out our highlights. There we go. Basically, I'm touching very lightly, just like I've done in all the paintings before. Okay, there we go. And the thing about a palette knife, too, it's no different than a brush as far as pressure. Most of the time in a brush, you're going to want lighter pressure to medium. Sometimes there's a reason for a heavy hand. With a palette knife, rarely is there a need for anything over a light touch. So you see me, I'm going to be holding the knife, and I'm going to be holding it hard enough to keep it from falling out of my hand, but I'm not going to be driving it in most of the time. In the beginning, when I had some of my when I was doing the sky and stuff, yeah, I can scrape in a little harder, but most of the time, you don't want to do that. Unless that's a look you're going for. And I'll show you how to clean stuff up too that you may not like. Okay, so now here's the sap green being introduced. You see how that's changing everything already now? And I'll show you another stroke here shortly that is real good, you can use for water too. And then I am going to change the sky. I'm going to show you how if you don't like something, you can change it. And I'm going to start with the sky. Because with a knife, it's easier than with a blade, a brush in some instances. Not always, but in some instances. Here we go. Just there we go. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I want to put some trees in the foothills. Okay, they're going to be distant, So they're not going to be too accented. I'm going to have a little bit of blue in it, but I'm going to get the tree shape first. And with a knife, this is so easy to do. And this is what you've seen me do 1,000 times. Just going to get the tree shape. This doesn't matter. We can slide that down. Look at this. You get all these tree shapes now that you're just doing from just tapping. Now, look at that. See how that works? Now, I am going to put some blue in here so you can actually see it. It's distinct. Because right now it's the color of the mountains. You can't see it shit, right? I'm going to put some ultramarine blue on there. And then you'll see what I'm talking about. But first, we're going to fix the sky. And there's nothing really wrong with it. It's a palette knife. It's a little thicker than I want. So, this is how you fix a palette knife painting. Just scrape it off. There you go. Scrape it off. Now, you smooth her out to whatever degree you wish. Let's get this done first. There we go. Now I gotta get a really, I'm not gonna say a tiny knife, but a much smaller knife, just because I have the mountains already established. And look at this little sucker. See, that's a perfect one for getting into areas now. Just trying to get this up, away from the mountains. And smooth it out as best you can with a knife. There we go. Now let's take some more blue. Let's just put that blue in. And remember, you're not looking for perfection. You're looking for suggestions of, you're looking for movement, you're looking for expression, you're looking for anything that is interesting. There we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the same knife. Wow, that paper towel is toast again. I bet there's like 3 or 4 of them already, and we're not quite halfway done yet with the painting. So when I tell you use a lot of them, paper towels, please trust me, I use a lot. Okay, now look at what we're doing. Remember how thick it was before? Well, now it's not as thick. We scraped it off. Now we're just putting cloud shapes, just little ones. In different areas that look good. There we go. Now that sky looks better than the one before. It's still thick, but half the thickness of the other one. The other one's just a little too thick for my taste. I didn't like it. And that's thought, since I didn't like it, that's a perfect time to show you how easy it is to change stuff. There we go. Okay, let's just do a little bit over here. And this is the part with the stretched canvas that's tough. If it's stretched really taut and it's an expensive canvas, this won't occur. But because this is a very inexpensive canvas, it has a little bit of a sag to it. And that's why it looks like it does, as far as getting the paint for the knife. With the brush, no big deal, but with the knife, there's no way. Okay, this knife we'll put away, but we're not gonna put it anywhere where we're not gonna be able to see it. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our blue. Now remember, blue is a receding color. So basically that means it's gonna be distance. Now we are gonna hit with a little bit of yellow and bring in some greens. Okay, but we're not going to go crazy because I don't want this to be foreground trees, okay? Because it's not. But I need the blue to make a distinction, forgive me, between the mountains and the trees and the foothills. And that's where the blue comes in, and then in a minute or so, that's where the cad yellow hue is going to come in. There we go. And the only reason I'm scraping this now, because I usually should just wait, I just want to show you how easy it is to re-establish everything. Okay, now all of a sudden, let's see. Yep, now you can start seeing it. Now I'm going to take some yellow, put it on there. And remember how before when you don't want a lot of yellow, you put it on and then you just keep tapping it until it blends the yellow out. Well, that's what we're going to do. We're not going to keep that yellow. We're just going to keep it for now. And then once we get everything established, then I'll hit it again and blend it. And that way it'll be a nice subtle green with blue showing through, which is what we were looking for to begin with. It may seem like a lot of extra work, but it actually isn't. And once you get used to it, it's easier than the brush to get stuff done. The brush obviously is easier to be precise, but the knife is just such a fun way to just kind of have at it. I mean, if I was doing this painting without doing it in a video, okay, I'd be listening to my Jimmy Buffett and my 70s music on full blast. Okay, and I just kind of be swaying to Steppenwolf or to Lowrider and just relaxing. Now I'm just going to give it my tree shape. See how I get the tree shapes now? And I'm just doing this. I'm just touching flat blade and I'm letting the blade do the work. Let's get this yellow out and replace it with the green. There we go. Now, we'll do this one last time, and we'll define where we are. Okay, that works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more sap green, put some of the yellow ochre, which is our base for here. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit more. And And then once I get that done, then I'm going to start my water. So if you look at everything we're doing, our steps and everything else are pretty much the same as when you use a brush. The only difference is the tool that you're using to paint with isn't a brush. There's no bristles. But that's it. Everything else, you know, your composition, your highlights, your lights over darks, you know, limited palette, everything, mixing colors, it's all the same. The only difference is you're using a knife. Now, what I recommend is if you like this, if it's something you think you're going to like, okay, what you need to do is go online and look at a bunch of different ones. Wow, my neighbor is doing something. Let me close a window. So, forgive me, I gotta get out of here real quick. Close the window. Sorry about that. I didn't know my neighbor was gonna start doing some sawing and stuff. Okay, so, like I said, everything is the same. Other than what you're using as a tool. And I'm gonna show you, you'll see shortly, well, not shortly, but in short order, what it looks like. Okay, now we got our French ultramarine. No, this is just ultramarine. I'm sorry, not French ultramarine. That's my crazy bird. So everybody wants to make noise when I'm doing the my video. That's fine. This is where I'm going. There we go. Now, does that look familiar? That's how we do all of our water. We get our far bank down first, and then we figure out where we're going. And where are we going? We're gonna go down to here. We're gonna go down to there. And just taking a big amount of blue. I'm gonna put this on. Now, this is pressing harder than you need to for other areas, but I'm covering a big area like I did with the sky. So it's going to be a little more firm to put on there. And that's because you want to just get it into the fabric, where when you do it on something like wood, or even a panel that's not real wood, but it's still rigid, you know, you're not going to be able to get into the fibers as well. Okay, it's not saying that you can't, I'm just saying as well. Alrighty, let's see here. The other thing too you're going to find with the knife is you're going to make shapes that you didn't think possible, and with a knife you can. With a brush, there's some shapes you're just not going to get out of. But with a knife, you're going to get some weird stuff that's going to look really good. Oh, I just got some red in here. By mistake, doesn't matter. There we go. Let me step back and see if that perspective is right. Yeah, that'll work. I do got to go up a little higher here, though. And now my neighbor on the other side, his dog's going crazy. So this video will get all of my YouTube subscribers a nice introduction to the people that live on both sides of my wife and I. Not to mention my bird interjecting, well, my wife's bird interjecting every once in a while. So, welcome to springtime in Chicago. Well, Chicago suburb. I don't live in Chicago any longer. I did, though. That's where I was born. And spent a pretty good portion of my life when I was younger. Okay, now I'm just smoothing out. Remember, water is horizontal. So you don't want downward water unless it's a waterfall, which you can do with a knife. We will do that at a later time, but that takes a little bit more effort. Now what I'm doing is every time I'm doing one, I'm wiping it off. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want the same thickness that I had on the sky. I like my paintings to be thick, but I don't like them to be so thick that it's not manageable. And this is getting to the point where it's very manageable now. There we go. Let me step back and see how that looks. Yeah, I can deal with that. I can deal with that. Okay, now just for the hell of it, I'm going to take my dark brown and Payne's gray, and I'm just going to put in my land real quick. Once I get my land in, it's really a good way to, one, you get the entire white of the canvas gone, so that psychologically helps out a lot of artists, even experienced artists, you know, look forward to when they have the white of the canvas gone. It just helps knowing, okay, you're on your way. And then especially the way I paint, where a lot of times I don't have a sketch or anything in mind really, I just kind of go at it. I am going to do some plein air knife painting this year, probably sooner than later, and I'm going to take videos of that for you guys. That's going to be interesting for me, because I'm actually going to have a subject matter in front of me and I'm not going to be making it up as I go. So we'll see how that looks, how that works out. But I am going to be doing a lot more knife work in my studio work as well as my YouTube channel. So I hope you like it. Let me know if you do, so I know what to keep doing and what not to do. Now this one, I'm going to go the other way because I still have areas with white canvas. So I'm taking all my extra paint from the thickness and I'm just moving it over here. There we go. It's going to be tougher to do that way. Bingo. Congratulations, the entire white of the canvas is gone. She be gone. And this isn't that thick. Okay, so okay, now next thing I want to do, I think I want to put some color into here and texture. I want to bring it right up to the water. I want to show a little bit of a slope from upper right to lower left. There we go. I want to put some red in here too. You see how that looks like just big blobs? That, you know, what the hell purpose is that? It looks stupid? It does, but that's not where we're done. We're not done. So now let's just blend it in. Yeah, I know, one got thrown in my water, that's fine. There's red in the land, so there'll be red in the water. But you see how now we're blending it in, and now it's mixing with the other colors? Now it's looking like much more of a natural habitat. Much more natural in nature. Now, you want to get rid of that? Fine. You take your caked up knife, wipe it off, and then gently. Now you got a little bit of red in there that it's going to cover with white anyway and blend. It might have a little bit that pops through, which is fine because, like I said, whatever you have in your landscape is going to be in your water anyways. So it's silly to try to get rid of it. Now we're going to put some yellow in. It's going to be orange. There we go. And this, I'm going to leave really thick. I don't know if I'm going to leave it for the whole painting. I'm going to leave it for right now. Okay. Next thing I want to do is I want to define my line between water and land here in the foreground. I'm going to do it the same way. And once I define that line, then I'm going to put in the white for the highlights and the water lines. There we go. Okay. And let's throw away another paper towel. I'm going to fill up the whole bag with paper towels. But that's normal with a painting this size with a knife only. Okay, so now let's just go into white. So we're going to just put the white all over the place right now. Okay, I'm not looking for any rhyme or reason. I just want the white in here. And then I'm going to sculpt it as we go. Okay, so right now I want white. I want whatever colors I got in here. Try to put them in horizontally right now. You don't have to because you're going to blend it out anyways a little bit. But it'll save you a step. There we go. Not too thick there. There we go. There we go. My shoulder's in your way, I apologize. This painting's a little big to, I mean, it's their normal 16 by 20, but this is a stroke I don't normally use when I have a knife. I mean, a brush. Okay. There we go. Now let's go check this out. Nice. It looks like a sloppy mess. And at that stage, it's supposed to. Now we're going to take the ultramarine. And now we're going to put the darks. Now we're going to get it. See how now we're getting the darks over here? We already established movement with what we just did with the white. Now, we're making sure the colors are correct. There we go. I hope you didn't get bored or frustrated with this and you're watching it straight through, or all the way through I should say, because it does come together as I go. Here we go. Okay, I can live with that. Now the next thing we have, which is also the last, is our foreground. So let's just take some yellow and yellow ochre. Let me move this over a little bit because I'm going to have to go to the side. Don't worry, we got sap green coming. And you notice I don't use a lot of sap green normally in my stuff, but for this I thought it would work out well. I'm going to put my yellow first, and then I'll put the green over it, and then I'm going to put some red in it, and some Payne's gray and all kinds of stuff. But my point is, I'm going to put colors in first. That's going to be nice for a nice backdrop. Okay. Now, this part of it you don't have to do. I like having some of this showing through. You can just go straight sap green and call it a day. Now, I'm going to do some of the stroke here, which is tapping it here, but I'm going to leave a lot of it in motion like I have right now. So let's go into our sap green. See what I mean? Look at that. Look at that now with the green. Now you wipe it off, you put more on. That green just goes right with that yellow stuff mixture. Look at that. Now all of a sudden you have a realistic pasture that's in nature. It's got greens, it's got browns, it's got yellows, it has all kinds of stuff. Forgive my English. It's been a long weekend. A good one, but a long one. There we go. Now all of a sudden, we have something that looks like something. And we have a very disgusting paper towel. Okay, now, as promised, we're going to use some of these, but we're not going to use a lot. I want to keep a lot of this. Just want some texture. There we go. There we go. I just want some texture. Now, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to put some flowers in here. And I'm going to put those along the front bank. And I'm going to use straight cad red. And this is also a cad red hue, like the yellow I have is. It's going to be thick, but not crazy. And it's going to go right into our land too. It's going to go right into the water. It doesn't matter. That's the way nature is. It goes all over nature does whatever the hell nature wants to do. And that's one of the things I try to emphasize in my painting tutorials here is when I was trying to get everything precise, I was going against what nature actually does. There isn't a hell of a lot of precision in nature. You know, it pretty much goes and grows and does whatever it wants, wherever it wants. There we go. And when I was trying to be so precise, one, it was frustrating as all hell because it looked so flat and uninteresting. When I finally started letting go a little bit, then all of a sudden my work started looking like something. Okay, now, I don't want to have I got some red up here, so that's good. I want to have a little bit more down here too. And the reason I do this is because I like to have a little bit of cohesiveness, I guess. But I'm mainly putting it on the areas that I tapped like this to begin with that got the texture. Because I'm going to put some Payne's gray in there too, because Payne's gray, as I've told you before, it looks black. When you hit it with white, it looks gray, so it acts like black. But technically, it's a really severely dark blue, depending on who makes it. Okay, so now we're going to go right into our thick yellow. I'm just going to touch. Now my yellow's got a bunch of stuff in it anyways, so it's not pure yellow right now. But it still jumps for the flowers. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now, the next thing I want to do is get some Payne's Gray introduced in here. I think I'm going to use another knife for that. I'm trying to ground everything and give it that last little bit of, okay, this makes sense. It looks the way it's supposed to look. There we go, my friends. Okay, we're going to call this one a painting. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's something you really want to try, because I really think you're going to like it. Like I said, it's awkward as heck in the beginning, but a beginning artist is awkward with a brush in their hand in the very beginning. So don't let the awkward get you. Go with the fun. Put on your favorite music, have your favorite whatever to drink sit next to you, and just enjoy yourself. I guarantee you, you're going to get better and better as you do it. Now, the difference between a brush and a palette knife painting is the expressiveness, in my opinion. Can you be expressive with a brush? Of course you can. And there's a ton of people throughout history that have been very expressive with the brush. However, my opinion, the knife is a much easier way to get that expressive, that loose, that spontaneous, thank you, look in your art. So if that's what you're looking for, try it. Now, if you're very unsure about it, do what we do in our other paintings. Use a brush for a lot of it, and then use the knife in certain places until you're comfortable. Once you're comfortable, get out of your comfort zone and go hit it. So anyways, I hope everybody enjoyed this, and I do not have a show next week, so I will be back on schedule for my videos, and I hope everybody has a great week.